Warm greetings from the High 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a great start to a new week. This information I'm bringing to you is coming out of Hawkins County, Tennessee, infamous county pertaining to a missing child. And now more shenanigans pertaining to Ronnie Lawson's son, Brandon Lawson. News 5, WCYB, NBC is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Following a story out of Hawkins County where Brandon Lawson pled guilty to 4 counts of attempted aggravated sexual battery. According to District Attorney General Dan Armstrong, Lawson is the son of Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. According to court documents obtained by News 5, the incident happened over a series of dates going back to 2018. The charges listed as a Class C felony. Brandon Lawson sentenced to 20 years in prison, but will only serve 1 year behind bars after pleading guilty. He also must register as a sex offender for life. He's currently being housed in the Granger County Jail.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. It's brief content. Once again, News 5, WCYB is the source. Man pleads guilty in Hawkins County to attempted aggravated sexual battery. A man must serve 1 year in prison after he pleaded guilty to attempted aggravated sexual battery in Hawkins County, according to District Attorney General Dan Armstrong. Brandon Lawson was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but only has to serve 1 year. Armstrong confirmed that Brandon Lawson is the son of Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. Brandon Lawson will also have to register as a sex offender for life. He's being held in the Granger County Jail. I looked for this content because many people are probably confused at the sentence. So I had to find an article that worded it to where you could understand that he is actually only going to do 1 year. 2, Granger County Jail, which is north of me. Naturally, he's probably there for security reasons because his father is the sheriff in Hawkins County. So he attended court in Hawkins County, sentenced by a Hawkins County judge. Normally, he would be housed in a Hawkins County jail, but you have to use deduction. Okay, it probably wouldn't be a good idea for him to be in that jail as not to be seen as getting any special privileges. And also safety reasons, because naturally people are there for different reasons, and they may decide they want to play some funny games with the son because they're in the damn jail and his father is the sheriff. I'm going to bring you more content pertaining to the actual charges because this article did not give the circumstances for why he is now currently incarcerated with 1 year to do and lifetime registry. Thank you for joining me. And I'm also going to give you possible reasons why he only got the 1 year. Because I believe some of you are confused. I saw a video done by Evil Exists. I posted that to my community board. He asked that question, is it 1 year? I don't understand. I'm going to give you the reasons possible why he's only getting the 1 year. Cruel it is, but this is the Dirty South, so we're going to leave it at that. WJHL.com is the source. Thank you for joining me. Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson's son pleaded guilty on October 13, 2022 to 4 counts of attempted aggravated sexual battery, according to District Attorney General Dan Armstrong with the 3rd Judicial District. Documents filed in Hawkins County Criminal Court identify Brandon Lewis Lawson as the accused, but other identifiers such as age, relationships, alleged victims, and victim age were not specified. Very interesting. So here they don't even tell you how old he is, his relationship to the victims, and the victim's age. Court documents indicate that the 4 counts of attempted aggravated sexual battery spanned across 2 years in 2018 and 2020, including alleged incidents in March and August 2018, as well as April and December 2020. All counts of attempted aggravated sexual battery are described as offense that involves knowingly and unlawfully attempting to have unlawful sexual contact that would have caused bodily injury to the victim. The 4 alleged crimes all happened in Hawkins County. While Lawson was sentenced to 20 years for the crimes, he will serve 1 year in a local jail and must be on the sex offender registry for life, according to Armstrong in court documents. Armstrong said Assistant District Attorney Cecil Mills prosecuted the case. News 11 is the source. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, Everyday Shenanigans, $sign McAngie, 129 Cash App. Stickers, chats are welcome. Thank you so much. Brandon, you are a dirty something. So who's the child that he attempted to offend? This went over in a 2-year span. I want you to chop up the allegations. They have a 4-month interval. If you look at the dates of the alleged crimes, let's go back. March to August 2018, and then April back to December 2020. It's very strange to me. March and August of 2018, that's a 4-month window. Then it says April and December 2020. So that's even longer, from April to December. April. 8 months. So now you have to ask yourselves, what was going on with this kid that he's offending? Is it a boy or is it a girl? Why is there such a long stretch in between the attempted aggravated offenses? Was he pressuring the child to have sex? Was he touching the child inappropriately? Or was he talking to the child through text messaging, messenger, sending them messages, sending them pictures? What was he doing? And what is the age of the child? I'm going to tell you that in order to get a 20-year sentence, one of the crimes you have to commit is enticing a child under the age of 13, and that is considered a Class B felony. But he's been charged with a Class C felony. You're asking yourselves, why only 1 year in jail and a lifetime registry? Well, we're going to chop that up. I had to do a little research. My head was spinning trying to get information, because it's hard when you're trying to go in Google and ask certain questions. Sometimes you don't get a definite answer in searching certain information. So first thing came to my mind was a diversion. And I really didn't know the specifics of a diversion, but I've heard the word used many times in criminal law. And so I decided to read the entire article, and naturally the last part of the article may apply to Mr. Brandon Lawson. Diversion. Definition. Oh, and Britannica is the source. Any of a variety of programs that implement strategies seeking to avoid the formal processing of an offender by the criminal justice system. Although those strategies referred to collectively as diversion take many forms, a typical diversion program results in a person who has been accused of a crime being directed into a treatment or care program as an alternative to criminal prosecution and imprisonment. Diversion is possibly as old as the justice system itself. Police officers and court officials have always exercised their discretion to prevent the formal processing of offenders. One critical area for the use of diversion is nonviolent drug offenses. Because of the large number of drug offenders who are taken into the criminal justice system, jurisdictions around the world have implemented drug courts as a form of diversion. Drug courts provide nonviolent substance abusing adults with the sanctions and services necessary to change their behavior and avoid long-term incarceration. Research indicates that such treatment can reduce substance abuse, criminal behavior, and recidivism. Interesting. Forms of diversion. There are 2 types of diversion, informal and formal. Informal diversion occurs when an official in the justice system decides, by using the appropriate discretion, that a case will be better kept out of the justice system. Such decisions occur every day. Police may consider diverting a suspect when the offense is minor, such as traffic violation, and the suspect is calm and differential. In more formal situations, there is typically a program that the accused must complete as a condition of diversion. The offender is offered some form of treatment or voluntary sanction that, once completed, justifies the closing of the original case. For example, an offender who commits an act of domestic violence may be sent to an anger management program. If the offender successfully completes the program, the case will be dropped or closed in an unofficial capacity. Diversion occurs at different stages of the system. The most common diversion decision occurs when a police officer decides not to cite or arrest a suspect, even when there is considerable evidence that a crime has been committed. If the officer does make an arrest, a different form of diversion may be used. Arrest gives the criminal justice system the ability to force the accused into a social service program. That is done with the belief that personal problems such as substance abuse or uncontrollable anger may cause criminal behavior, and that treatment of those factors will prevent a reoccurrence of the crime. Therefore, authorities will often forego prosecution if a defendant enrolls in a treatment program, especially if the defendant is a first-time offender. Jail diversion programs typically have a very simple aim: to allow the offender to avoid confinement while awaiting trial. The benefits of avoiding confinement are considerable. A pretrial jail term, even only if a few weeks long, can mean loss of a job and disruption of family life and other social ties. Being locked up also makes it harder for the defendant to assist in the preparation of his or her defense. I like this one comment where it says, a pretrial jail term, even if only a few weeks long, can mean a job loss, disruption of life, and other social ties. Well, let's think about that. Most people aren't going to really give a damn about your social ties. That sounds preferential and biased. We're letting you out because you're somebody important, such as a actor, politician, somebody with a prestigious job. You make a higher income. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Do people really care? Especially when you're talking about the crime we're talking about. Hell no. Okay? Hell no. Hell no. We don't care. Family life. Who cares about that? You went out here and committed a crime, and if it's a felonious crime, you didn't care about your family, especially if you're rearing children, whether it's fraud, sexual assault. When were you thinking about your family? Moving along. Jail diversion is an option frequently exercised by the arresting officer. In the case of a minor offense, a summons can be given, indicating a date and time for the accused to face the charge in court. A summons operates much like a traffic ticket. The accused is technically arrested, but is free to go after agreeing to a court date. Because of fears that a summons may underplay the seriousness of a criminal accusation, is restricted to only the least serious misdemeanors. Another jail diversion approach, release on recognizance, ROR, occurs after the suspect has been taken to the station house and booked. Under ROR, the accused promises to appear in court at a specified date and time in exchange for release from custody. Diversion can also occur after formal admittance to the criminal justice system, even after conviction. This is where this may apply to Mr. Brandon. Once convicted, the offender faces the bench for sentencing. For most felonies, the judge imposes a term of incarceration, but many offenders will not serve the full term. Instead, they will likely be considered for a form of diversion, either probation or, in the case of nonviolent crimes, restitution or community service. Restitution requires the offender to make reparation for the harm resulting from a criminal offense. Well, let's hope that he gets to pay the victim something. We will see. Restitution is used most often for economic offenses such as theft or property damage. Community service requires the offender to work for a community agency. It is unpaid service to the public, which symbolically atones for the harm caused by the crime. Well, this doesn't apply to him because this is internal crime against a child. Both restitution and community service provide victims in the community with compensation, and they provide alternatives for judges that are somewhat less punitive and far less expensive than jail or prison time. Goals and benefits. For the offender, the main goal of diversion is rehabilitation. I'm going to stop there because I'm not going to read that any farther because I don't think this applies to Brandon Lawson. Feel free to go look this up in Britannica. Here is my commentary. When you go before the judge to plea, 9 times out of 10, you'll get a lesser sentence. Your lawyer may tell you to, if you are able to hire one, either by your own pocketbook or a public defender, they will tell you to take a plea because a plea offers a lesser sentence instead of going on trial before 12 members of the jury. Naturally, him going before a jury, if he was denying the charges, they would have found him guilty because then they would have to bring the victim into the court and the victim would have to testify to the circumstances for which he or she came to know this perpetrator and how they became alone or this and that. He didn't want that. He didn't want the gruesome details released to the public. He knew what he was doing. 9 times out of 10, he had a lawyer, and the lawyer told him, take a plea. That's what he did. So the judge sentenced him to 20 years, but yet he only gets 1 year in jail and a lifetime on the registry. That's bullshit. Because he will be free in a year, and he will still be able to walk around and try to contact his victim. God forbid, hurt his victim. God forbid, the next time he decides to reoffend, he hurts or kills his victim. Because I do not believe you can be rehabilitated for sexual offenses, such as child molestation, child rape, rape of an adult. You rarely hear of rehabilitated sexual offenders. And 9 times out of 10, he's been a sexual offender. I do not know how old he is, but he looks like he's above the age of 18. He's possibly been touching children and other people inappropriately for some time. That's the 411. It is atrocious that the judge will allow him to only do 1 year in jail. So what? He's on the registry for life. That's usually what you give them, is registry for life. You don't get to get on it for 2 years, 3 years. Well, let me see if you behave and I'll take you off. So it's an insult to the victim, an insult to the victim's family, and it's an insult to the community because 9 times out of 10, he's going to be back out here touching somebody else. And this time he's going to be angry. He's going to be angry because he's done 1 year. He's going to be angry because he's caught. He's going to be angry from the flack he's going to receive, the ridicule he's going to receive, the ridicule that's going to come on his parents and family, and the fact that his father's a sheriff. Oh, he's going to be a bitter bitch when he gets out. Just a second. Okay. I'm going to come back on because I need to bring you information pertaining to Quentin Simon. I was trying to time this information, but the Queen wants to be the first one to jump on it before it hits the airwave. Yes. I'm rocking like that right now. Nonetheless, this is atrocious behavior from the perpetrator and atrocious for the judge. Judge, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know if you're in cahoots with Ronnie Lawson. You two are friends. You play golf together. You celebrate Christmas together or go to each other's houses or do Christmas parties. Frankly, we don't give a damn here. And this good old boy mentality is disrespectful to the victim, and it's disrespectful to us walking around. And it shows us that you don't care about children because he's going to reoffend. Because you have to remember, most children don't tell that they've been touched or sexually assaulted or being pursued by a grown-ass man. And you just gave him a free pass to continue the behavior. This is just sad to me. And now let's see what the father has to say about his son, if he'll even speak publicly about the allegation and the sentence. And Ronnie Lawson knows the sentence is deplorable. The actions of his son is deplorable, and the sentence that the judge gave is deplorable. It's disrespectful to the spirit, because this child has to be able to walk around. This is horrible. But this is what happens. This is our legal system. You go before the judge, you get a lighter sentence. And they'll probably even factor in the fact that he has never been convicted of a sexual crime or any other offense. So let's ask that question. Has he been arrested for another crime? Sexual in nature or any other random crime? Does he have a criminal background? Doesn't matter now. 1 year in jail. And I hope they play some funny games with you in there. You like playing with children. Maybe somebody will play with you. And if I was the parent of this child, I would definitely get me an attorney and sue this judicial system in Hawkins County. Let them know 1 year is not enough for you trying to get into my child's britches or whatever the hell you were doing. Because they did not explain exactly what he was doing, attempting to do. So that could just be in the company of the child, trying to get the child to do heinous crimes, felonious crimes, or I don't know. Don't give me the line. Well, however old he is, he's old enough to know better. That's the point. Join me here shortly, coming back on to break down this case. I got a lot to discuss, and it's just too much. I didn't plan on jumping on this early, but I'm going to go ahead and knock it out the park. I'll be back shortly with commentary pertaining to Billy Joe Howe, the grandmother of baby Q that's missing out of Savannah, Georgia. We're going to chop up the videos that are running around on YouTube, these TikTok videos. We're going to discuss all that. Jump back. The link will be dropped if you want to give your opinion. And also, I do believe that something has been found in Savannah. That's the source of information I just received while I'm now live. So I'm going to go on and break it to you before it hits the airwaves. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Give me a brief moment to resume of live number 2. Thank you so much. You all have a wonderful evening. I'll be back on in a few minutes. Thank you so much for your time. This is Everyday Shenanigans.